think about Subaru, what comes to mind? Is it images of Colin McRae cutting it up in WRC with a 23B, just devouring corners the same way a teenager would inhale food? Or is it the thought of ridiculously modified N10s and N12s cutting it through quiet, sleepy neighborhoods? Possibly, you could be thinking about modern day Subaru, which has large, family-oriented cars just snailing around town, cars with simply no soul. Well, I'm Wemo, this is Conversations, and today we're going to try and figure out whether this 2017 WRX S4 has any semblance of Subaru glory left in it. The S4 that I'm driving today comes with a 2-liter turbocharged petrol engine, codenamed the F820F. Mated to that, you have a CVT transmission with about 6 simulated gears. More on that later. The two of them combined produce about 268 brake horsepower and about 350 Newton meters of torque. It's an absolute beast. Now, the CVT that I mentioned earlier is, of course, for those of you who know, a CVT is a CVT. But this one in Subaru gives you simulated gears, which is why I have these paddles right here. It allows me, when putting the car into manual mode, to rock through a couple of fake gears. I mean, those gears are about as real as any sort of relationship you'd have with anybody who typically drives one of these cars. If you know, you know. Now, the gearbox, as it is in the full automatic mode, works relatively well for what it's trying to be. It's a bit slow and a bit confused, especially when you put your foot down and you want to accelerate. It takes a couple of seconds to figure out its mind before it goes. Then again, that is attributed to the size of the turbo in this car and the turbo lag that is, you know, typical with very many turbos. You do have that little bit of lag. But if you're just driving the car regularly, in terms of using the CVT for what it is, it works the same way a regular CVT would. You have a continuous, seamless ratio of gears that just seems to somehow know the perfect gear that you need to be, except when you actually put your foot down and you step on it a little bit. It'll take a couple of seconds before it decides, and then maybe on the rare occasion, it'll drop down a gear or two and then catch you and meet you halfway. But if you put it again in the manual mode, I'm putting very many air quotes because, again, simulated CVT, so there aren't any actual gears in that ratio. But if you do go into the manual mode of this CVT, you are able to rock through a couple of those gears fairly quickly. It's snappy, but sometimes it takes a couple of seconds before it actually kicks in. Right now I'm in 5th gear, drop down to 4th, drop down to 3rd, and just launch. Again, that lag, it's not fun. That lag is not funny at all. Although, it can do a bit better. Now, attaching this car to the tires is a McPherson strut system at the front and a multi-link spring system at the back. The way Subaru has calibrated these suspension systems means that the car, it rides pretty firm. It's quite stiff. That does give you the added advantage of being able to go into corners pretty quick and not expect any sort of lean whatsoever. You can predict the trajectory of the car as you're entering and leaving corners at relatively high speeds, right? Although with the ride being that stiff, you do get the trade-off of being able to feel every single bump on the road, and then even road surfaces become significantly more pronounced. Connected to the suspension, you have this electronically assisted steering column. That means that the car is very responsive, it's very sensitive when you're handling it. It's very tight, it makes the car feel very nimble once again when you're diving in and out of the corner. It does have that little bit of sportiness to it, but it's not an annoying amount of sensitivity where even the slightest of breeze just seems to change the course of the car completely. Additionally, you do have this car set up in a way in which it is very low. It's very low slung, it's almost hunched over, it's very aggressive. It feels planted, it feels solid. It's the center of mass of the car being as low as it is means that your center of mass is quite low. Again, it makes the whole driving dynamics of the car shift significantly. Just everything that's been done about the suspension and how it's been calibrated, it just builds up towards that sporty feeling of it. The way the car handles, it just seems to hide its size and its weight really well. Like throwing it in and out of corners, it's a breeze. It's definitely no Outback. It's no Forester either. It's giving me hope of what we're trying to figure out in this video, whether or not it's lost some of that racing heritage, you know, those sporty driving dynamics. Oh my goodness, lovely bit of kit. In general, the ride of the S4 is pretty well done. It's sporty, bordering on exciting. That said, does the exterior match up to what's under the hood? Taking a look at the exterior design language chosen by Subaru for this particular car, you can definitely see how the aggressive nature that I was talking about in the driving feel does translate to this exterior. My goodness, what an aggressive looking car this is. Starting from the front, I'll start from the top today. This massive air intake right on the bonnet, it just looks fantastic. These lines just flow down effortlessly. You have your regular Subaru star badge right there, and these lines, this massive air intake, and again this little body colored lip which has been molded into the bumper, just looks effortlessly seamless. Going over to this side, let's take a look at these lights. The way Subaru has implemented this array of lights just looks lovely. You've got these stunning, very sharp, angular daytime running lights, almost seemingly paying homage to the N12, or known as the Hawkeyes to some of you enthusiasts. You have these large intelligent projector beams which do adjust themselves depending on the traffic and also how bright you want it to be. You have these puddle lamps and the fog lights. It's just lovely, and this little bit of LED strip over there, it just looks really well refined. Flowing back towards the side of this car, you have these nice masculine shoulders. They just look very angular, very aggressive. This WRX badge implemented there, just it looks so nice in that little bit of chrome above this false air vent. Yes, it's fake, it's not real. The lines of this car just look really stunning. You have this two-tone sort of rear view mirror with your indicator lights implemented over there. Going further back, the lines just flow so nicely in this car. They're so sharp and angular, even focusing on that little sort of side skirt. It just looks really nice. Again, these wheels, you have these real alloys, 18-inch wheels connected at the back, multi-link suspensions at the front, McPherson's. I've already touched on that. Let's take a look at the back. The back of this car, everything just seems to collate ever so perfectly. You have that shark fin antenna at the top, again adding that aggressive little bit of feel. This rear end, it just speaks to me. Going down, you have this WRX, which stands for World Rally Experimental, and the S4 badge. The S4 does stand for something. Comment it down below. I'll buy you a soda in the next video if you actually get it right. This bumper, going down towards the bottom, you have this diffuser. It's not real, but it looks really nice. This center sort of rain light looking, very aggressive, very sporty, going back to that racing heritage. And again, I get 4 real exhaust. Mercedes can't even give me 1. I have 4 at the back. It just looks really nice. Opening this boot, I don't have the key. I don't have the key. It's not my fault. Now I have the key. Now let's open this boot. Look at that. It's got so much storage. It's actually shocking from the outside. Yes, it does look like a very big car, but sometimes these cars tend to not have the best sort of boot space. This one is pretty big. As it is right now in this configuration, you have about 530 liters of space. It varies quite a bit depending on the model you take. Should you decide to drop down those rear seats, which is quite a bit of a fuff, honestly, I wouldn't personally do that. You get about 1,550 liters of space. It's quite big, but as it is, without the whole lowering of everything in the back seats, you're good. With the amount of storage, as you can see, we have so much equipment over here. You're pretty good. Come with me in the interior. The 2017 S4 comes standard with an all fabric interior. This one in particular is an all black fabric with red contrast stitching. The front cabin introduces bits of carbon fiber on the steering wheel, the center console, and the trim piece right above the glove compartment. The back seat of this S4 is pretty comfortable. It looks very small and nimble from the outside, but it works well. I've got a ridiculous amount of knee space, a very large amount of head space, to be very honest with you. Would I have been a little bit taller? God didn't intend for me to be that much taller, but I would have been rubbing. But as I am right now, I'm pretty comfortable. Additionally, you can sit about 3 people at the back relatively comfortably, but I think the best orientation would be for a 2-seater, where you can drop down this middle segment over here and you have 2 cup holders over there. Now, last but not least, you have these ISOFIX plugs over here. That means you can securely fix your baby seats at the back, and at the top over here you also have more mounting positions which can latch onto that baby seat even better. Livability of this front cockpit is quite something to behold. Let's start with these seats. I have these electronically adjustable sport bucket seats. They work pretty well for what I expect. Going on to what's right in front of me, I have this lovely looking carbon fiber steering wheel with this dead center pinstripe, again in that little bit of red. Subaru adding a bit of red accents here and there to contrast and add that more sporty, aggressive feel. This steering wheel is quite busy, should I say. I have my auxiliary buttons over here that help me set out some of my driving modes. Over here I have my multimedia controls, and on this other side I have all my driving modes and driving assist buttons. It takes a little bit of time for you to understand it. Me personally, I've not yet gotten the hang of it quite yet, but should you live with this car for an extended amount of time, you will be able to ingrain yourself into Subaru's system. Now, right behind these, the steering wheel, you have these paddle shifters, which do feel very tactile. They're very well placed. And then you have my 2 stalks. On this side, my wipers. On this side, my lights. Passing directly through the steering wheel, I have this lovely looking analog gauge cluster which just lights up in this beautiful red. That red accent keeps going through and through. It's very legible. Thank you. It's very legible, it's easy to read, and it just looks fantastic. Moving on towards the center console, I have a screen in the middle which acts as my tachometer in terms of being able to check my consumption. And if I throw it into reverse, you are going to see literally the worst reverse camera I have ever seen in any single car ever. It's pathetic. Towards the other side, the smaller screen helps me maintain and keep an eye on my climate control. Going down, you have this large screen, works very well, and these dials, again, very tactile feeling. I like that. You have this lovely stalk, and you get these 2 little USB plugs over there, and there's quite a bit of storage all over this car. A really large door bin over there, and then you have a little cubby which fits well. This bottle is about 1 liter, give or take, and there's more storage on this other side. Last but not least, I have these auxiliary switches over here which have been labeled. One is for lane keep assist, one is for collision warnings. I like how they're up here. Makes me feel a little bit like a fighter pilot. And then I also have some more switches down here. It works really well. But let's focus more on what's under the hood. The 2017 S4 that we're reviewing today comes with 2 different engine variations. Both of them code names the FA20s, right? One of them produces 268 brake horsepower, which is the one I have right here, and the other one produces about 296 brake horsepower. In ways of transmissions, you do have the ones that come standard with the CVT. Some are 6-speed CVTs, quote-unquote 6-speed, and then some have 8 simulated gears. Additionally, for the enthusiasts out there, Subaru was kind enough to give you a 6-speed manual, which unfortunately are not as common in Kenya, but you can get them should you want to. Let's go to the problems of this car. Now, the FA20s haven't really reported very many issues, just a couple of leakages here and there, mostly again attributed to the amount of plastic in this interior. A lot of plastic housing and hoses left, right and center. But the main headache that you will get from this particular platform is mostly when it comes to serviceable items and maintenance items. Because of the configuration of the engine, some service items such as your spark plugs are very hard to access, and more often than not it's going to be an engine out issue for you to be able to change your spark plugs and a couple of things here and there in terms of serviceability. Now, when it comes to gearbox, we always say a CVT will always be a CVT. They do have their own issues, but the ones implemented by Subaru and Toyota, because they are, you know, in bed together, they are relatively reliable and pretty bulletproof. As long as you keep up with your maintenance intervals, make sure you're topped up with your CVT fluid, and you're always on top with your general service, you should be okay. If not, this thing will give you more heartbreak than the partner you dream to have once you drive such a car. premium tiers. With all that said and done, courtesy of Lanchester Motors who provided us this car, let's actually go and see how that translates in terms of its drivability. Alright.
I'm here.
Yes, big boy Bugo
here
himself.
finally. This car from the outside looks ridiculously.
It does, right?
Mazena car fit.
Sana.
But when you come to the interior, gives me a premium vibe.
Premium. Hey.
Honestly, you know, you're all used to the Subaru.
I'll just get you out of here. Premium. Premium.
As a alien Basi.
Nah, G. Nah.
It's true.
Nah.
Honestly, I feel like, for me, on my point of view,
right,
Subaru has kind of lost into it, and it's because of inafosiona market.
Yes.
No, inafosiona market. So we've all used to the Subaru, the GC8, the
N10s and 12s.
and 12s. Oh, man, this cars. And I think what Subaru decided to do was, okay, on this side they are marketing sports, it's okay, but we still need to create something that's family oriented.
Yeah.
A dad will still have
Yeah.
a bit of fuel economy, and also did away with the manual gearbox so that even ladies who do not know how to drive
Thank
manual
you for adding that.
can at least enjoy
Thanks.
the Subaru. So in that way, it lost its culture, its heritage.
I wouldn't say it's particularly lost.
No, it's not lost, but on this
I'd
particular
say
car,
it's more just grown up. I think that's the best way to put it. It's going to school, it's gotten a child, it needs space to be a family.
It's
It's settled too much.
for 12 years old.
We're used to having the reckless teenage boy child Subaru, the ones which are just noisy, the hooligans basically, like hooligans, the ones who break your heart. You're crying home, your mother can't tell you anything because she doesn't know.
You see a guy with this switch only baba. Because honestly, he's already settled at kelele mingi, but still wants a Subaru.
Not this one though, but that's for more like the Outbacks, the
Foresters XTs.
the Foresters, exactly those ones. This one we have, it's kind of a bit youthful.
Okay, yeah, by the way,
It's sporty. It almost calls back to those older Subarus, right? Now, they say that this car can do 0 to 60
in what seconds?
in about just under 6 seconds. Subaru say about 5.8 seconds.
This one.
This one
The CVT.
with the CVT. Now, in defense of this car, it's really hot today, right? And
Hot, like
it's just too hot.
What
today.
degrees is it?
Right now
it's 28
degrees.
Yeah.
Which is not ideal for the performance of this car, but we'll give it a shot. We'll see what we get. Right? Okay, let me put this to the side.
Put it on the most sportiest mode.
It is in the most sportiest mode, S sharp.
It's
Alright.
It's called Sports Sharp for the
Sharp.
for the Subaru.
Please. Hi, you ready?
I am ready. I'm ready.
Finally the turbo has kicked in. Oh! That's actually
Quite fast.
that was quite rapid. I mean, from what I saw here, and also the brakes are quite good.
So you feel the brakes.
I really do feel them. So talk to me. What are the numbers looking like?
For the numbers, I have my numbers here.
Uh-huh.
So let me show guys.
What did you get? What did you get?
0 to 100. 9.42 seconds.
Hey. No, let me try something else, yeah? No. Let me brake boost to about 4,000 RPM.
Okay.
Because I'd let go, because the turbo kicks in at about 4,500.
Okay.
So we try that.
Let's try.
Soft limit at 2.5. Turbo kicks in a lot quicker then. The CVT is
is whining.
Talk to me.
8 seconds.
8.
Yeah.
I mean, we shaved off a second.
A whole second.
You
Actually,
shaved
it's
off
more
a
than
whole
2.
second.
Because that was 9.42.
Ah, right. So about
8.0.
Huh.
Yeah. And then for the quarter mile, you're gonna not a quarter. Is it a quarter? An eighth?
Yeah.
10 seconds.
10 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm
pretty
too
happy with that
mad
though.
at that, yeah, considering everything.
One, it's a CVT. Two, well, it's not a race car. I don't think they were making this
To be particularly competitive.
For me, I think I'm comfortable with 8 seconds.
Speaking of comforter, just come and try and drive this car.
Yeah, let me feel it.
You come and feel it.
I'm on the driver's seat, Mama.
Yes, you are. First of all, how do you feel in those
First
buckets?
of all, the buckets. Actually, that's what I wanted to
buckets.
compliment. The first thing, the bucket seats, they hug you nicely. Well, for me, if you have a big body, it's a bit
a little bit
uncomfortable. But not that. No, I see bias.
But like, bro, if the guys who drive these cars, they put their thick mummies in the seat and they fit. Who are we to complain? Who are we to complain? You know.
Okay. One, it feels nice. When you're driving it, for me, from my perspective, I feel like I'm just driving a normal sedan car.
Right.
The reason why I'm comparing it with maybe an Allion or in the driving feel is because generally those are the most closest relative.
Okay.
In terms of like
that sedan feel.
The sedan feel, you get it. It's not like a Passat, because the Passat has you can feel the shifts. Even though you're on eco mode, you can still feel the shift.
And everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Even though, I mean, you get what I'm trying to say. It's just lean. It's just quiet. It's just moving.
It's very Japanese.
Not Japanese, because Japanese there's the. For me, I wish to have a 6-speed manual, definitely.
Yeah.
Even though I still have the FA20, I love a 6-speed.
That 6-speed manual.
At least that one, you have more control in terms of fuel economy. Well, it's relative because CVTs are the most economical gearboxes that exist, and that's why they were made.
Right.
But for me, manual is the way to go for me. Personally, in a Subaru, manual.
Right. At the beginning of this video, I asked you a question. Let's wait for the nice Japanese lady to finish. Anyways, so I'd ask you a question.
Okay.
Do you think that this 2017 S4 still has a little bit of that Subaru heritage? Some of that. Do you think it still has some of those, boyhood, childhood tendencies that we came to know, love, some of you hate out of these Subarus?
Well, for me, I would say the place where they've retained most is the styling. You all know the Subaru, there's a style that you see, and by default, that's a Subaru.
Right, that silhouette.
That silhouette,
yes.
that. But in terms of driving feel, well, honestly, somehow
it's not that bad in my opinion.
It's not bad, but the whining CVT, we noticed to that. Just
to
feeling the boxer engine and.
I feel like this would have been perfection had they put either an auto box in it.
True.
Because why?
Even though it was a 6-speed automatic.
Yeah.
We do not care. As long as we feel in those shifts, I think we'll be okay. For me, I feel like they have really lost it. In terms of driving, as I said, I feel like I'm just driving a sedan. I'm not fascinated. I'm not
excited.
I'm not excited.
It's not particularly.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, if we take a look at this car through the lens of somebody who's looking for something sporty, for 2.9 million shillings, this is not the Subaru that we grew up knowing and loving, but it's very mature. It's very grown.
No noise.
Stock. If you want noise, you can get noise.
You can get noise.
But stock as is.
I love the fact that Subarus are. I think even this one you can customize the way you get more power from these. Not just the 268 horsepower. You can. I think if you change the exhaust,
right,
and give it a cold air intake,
you could probably get a bit more power out of
maybe
this.
270. Maybe you
could probably hit like mid 270s, close to 300s.
Okay.
So. 2.9 million shillings.
2.9, because
with the Subaru that you have in head, right? The old N12s.
2.8 can do crazy things. If I had like maybe the Burger Impreza, my God, even 2.8 I can do a whole stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. Because buying it nowadays, these cars are going for around 800k to $1 million
for an STI.
A good one.
A tuned one, which has been like to stage 1, stage 2 for like 1.2.
Yeah, 1.2 probably.
Yeah.
But for me, the WRX is 4.
Now, here's my take on it, right? This one in particular with the CVT, this is not for the enthusiasts. This is not for Subaru
This is just a
heads.
It's a daily drive Subaru.
This is a daily drive Subaru which will give you a little bit of fun over the weekends. It's very responsible, very refined fun, right? Nothing idiotic about this. If you want the idiotic fun, which gives you a bit of that driving feel, that, you know, petrol head. Look at that. It's so...
I'm not even I'm just niko tu hapo.
Right. So for what it's worth, I think we have our question answered. Anything else, Em?
Nah, I'm just kind of disappointed.
A little bit. I really wanted to properly fall in love with this car.
But well, Subaru did their thing.
They did their thing. On that absolutely depressing and horrendous mood, let's just sign out before we start crying in this car. Right, guys, remember to comment, like, and subscribe. Please do tell us in the comment section, what do you think would have made this car perfect? And for the same 2.9 million shillings, if you're looking for that fun sportiness, JDM preferably, what do you go for? It's been another lovely review.
And
signing off, guys.
see you on the next.